You guys did it again. We reached another massive milestone, 200,000 subscribers. When I started making YouTube videos about what I enjoyed about the game, I never imagined we would ever get remotely close to this. And for this special occasion, I will be doing a Q&A. So for the last month, I've been taking your guys' questions about me and my YouTube channel, and I will be answering them today. As I mostly keep my videos focused on the different goals that we have in Minecraft, I don't often talk about myself, so this should be a lot of fun. The questions are in no particular order, and let's get started. So the first one is, why is your channel called RaysWorks? So at the time of naming my YouTube channel, I wanted to choose a name that was kind of like Ethos Labs or Tango Tech, kind of where they have like their name and then like something else afterwards. I also want a name that wasn't used by anybody else. So Ray being the name that I go by, and then apostrophe S and then work. So that's like saying Picasso's works. So like things that Picasso worked on. I want to keep the channel name kind of general. I didn't want to make it specific to Minecraft. I didn't know if I was going to be doing Minecraft the whole time or not. I just wanted it to be about things that I work on. So similar to like Ethos Lab, there's like apostrophe S. So it's like Ray, and then his ownership, so apostrophe S, works, things that he worked on. Of course, when it comes to like putting your kind of brand name out there on the internet, you want to kind of make it as easy to understand. So like Ethos Lab is one kind of tenuous word, and you can't really put like apostrophes or spaces in there. So on my other social links, it's mostly without a space. And to this day, I think the name is very fitting. People still call me Ray, but RaysWorks makes a lot of sense because everything on my channel is stuff I worked on. It also kind of goes with my in-game name. My in-game name is Rays, which is kind of the first piece of the word. So sometimes people think my name is Rays, when in my channel name it's Ray apostrophe S. Next is, why is your name Rays? So my character name before this was I underscore and then the number 1. This was a play on words. So when I play like mini games in Minecraft, I could always say that I won because my name is I1. There's also a very short name, and at the time I was playing like different mini games where you want to kind of keep your name short so people wouldn't be able to see it because you can see that tag. Also, having a shorter name helped when typing them when using like the TP command on different servers. And then when they opened up the names, as I was called Ray, I was trying to get the name Ray, but next best thing was Rays, so I chose that one, and it worked pretty nice with my channel name. Here's another one to do with naming. Why is your actual YouTube URL says that your channel name is Craiganager? And that's a name that I made combining two actors' names. But before I tell you who they are, I'm going to let you guess. If you want to, you can guess down in the comments. If you want a hint, they're from TV shows and movies that I enjoyed. So time's up. So the first part is Craig. That is Craig Robinson. He has a really kind of interesting humor in The Office. Probably a special name for that type of humor, but I found it really enjoyable. The other person is Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he played a lot of different action movies, including like Terminator, Predator. So combine their first and their last name to make that. Next is, what is the little pumpkin guy that is your avatar? Well, that is Gordy. He is a pumpkin-headed character that I created way back when pumpkins came into the game. I would put the pumpkin on top of another block and pretend it was kind of like a mischievous individual whenever we were doing like some kind of experiment. He'd be there at the experiment. And I would later set him up when I would do like pranks on other friends or family members. I kind of left him behind as indicator that I was the person behind that prank. So the name Gordy is because he has a pumpkin in his head, and pumpkin is in the gourd family. And Gordy is also a nickname of a family friend in real life. And he kind of evolved to be like the mascot of my channel. He has his own kind of like personality. People see him as being kind of cute, but he's also mischievous. And whenever something kind of goes crazy on the server, we like to blame Gordy for it, as he's kind of like the mad scientist. When it came to making my channel, I was looking for some kind of avatar. I didn't want to put my character face up there. I put Gordy up there, and as he evolved, he had pumpkin head on top of an armor stand with some leather armor as well. Now we give him stuff like shields and enchanted pumpkin, enchanted armor. We enjoy dressing him up. Next is, why don't you play Bedrock Edition? So I never started on Bedrock Edition. I started shortly after Minecraft came out, and that was in Java for the longest time. You know, there was like Pocket Edition, eventually it moved over to Bedrock Edition, and I never played those versions before, so there really was no reason for me to start playing. It turns out Java had a lot more interesting things to do, and Bedrock Edition had more annoying bugs and less you could do in the game overall, especially when it comes to endgame. I don't really know that much about Bedrock, so for me to try to design farms for that version, I pretty much had to start all over and relearn the whole entire game. Next is, when did you start playing Minecraft? So I started playing shortly after the game was released. So I've seen like the pre-classic era, I've seen classic, I've seen in-dev, I've seen inf-dev, I've seen beta, I've seen alpha, I've seen all the versions through version 1 all the way to 1.17. So I've pretty much seen everything. And I go into a lot more detail about the history of Minecraft and everything that I experienced over the years and did in my 1000 screenshots over 10 years video, as well as a tour of my 11-year-old single player world. So if you haven't seen those, I'll link them down below. The next question is very similar. When did you start doing technical Minecraft? So I actually started doing technical gaming prior to even Minecraft coming out. I used to play the game RuneScape, and I used to do glitch hunting and other technical aspects of the game. And at the time of me doing these crazy things in Minecraft in the early days, there was no such thing as technical Minecraft. People just called me like a hacker or a glitcher or a cheater, even though I was just using the mechanics of the game to my advantage. It was actually very despised what I was doing back then, but I just kept at it because that's what I enjoyed. And over the years, more and more people enjoy what I did. And I got to share a lot of cool things I discovered with the rest of the community. And over time, it actually eventually became known as Technical Minecraft. So I've actually helped started this category that we now know as Technical Minecraft. And because I have so many years of knowledge, it allows me to really easily create new types of machines and devices, and also have visions and goals that seem impossible to others. Next is, what is that thing on your character's face? Is that a lip or a mustache? And that's actually a mustache that I've always had on my character. It is a layer, so I can remove it, and I have tried different skins with different shadings on mustache to make it look more like a mustache and less like a upper lip. Some people thought it was like a bill, like a duck bill. Next is related to that, what is your skin? So my skin is something that I created a long time ago. I looked at what I was wearing at the time, and I just tried to build a skin similar to that. The skin is kind of roughly based off of myself in real life. Next is, how old are you? Typically when it comes about talking about age online, it's usually not something that you should do. And when I get this question, I usually respond with kind of a funny statement saying I'm currently old enough to know my age, or just give some random number for my age when online. Next is, where do you live? I actually live in the United States. I moved around a few different places over the years, but I am from the United States, and that is my accent. A lot of people comment that my accent is unique. I think it's mostly because I always kind of struggled to talk properly, and speaking in public has always been very difficult for me. Which kind of goes into our next question, which is, why did you start making YouTube videos? There's a lot of reasons why I started. A couple of big ones were people were asking me to make videos about the different things I created that they've seen on different servers that I played on over the years. They're like, wow, this is so cool. Where's the video that you used to make this? And I'd be like, oh, there's no video because this is just something I created. And then they'd be like, oh, why don't you make a video? You should really make videos about this. Other people would find this really interesting as well. Another reason why I started was to improve my speaking skills. I'm not very good at speaking, grammar, spelling, and all that other stuff. But one of the main ones was fluid speaking. I figured one of the best ways to do that was to record myself, and eventually I also started doing live stream. And I do feel like I really improved over the years, and just goes to show something that probably isn't said enough. If you really want to be good at something, you just need to put the time into it. Another reason why I started was I always kind of wonder, what are the different challenges that somebody who's making YouTube videos has to overcome? I never wanted to be a YouTuber. I just want to experience some of those things that you don't really hear about that YouTubers have to deal with. And believe me, there is a lot. And there's some other reasons that I covered in past, but definitely the main thing to take away is if you're doing YouTube, you should do it as a hobby and never do it to become famous or to make money off of it. I certainly never expected to be doing YouTube, but I got to meet hundreds and thousands and even hundreds of thousands of amazing people along the way. Next is, what motivates you to continue doing YouTube or crazy stuff in Minecraft or just Minecraft in general? As I've been playing the game a long time, I have a lot of really deep ingrained goals, like trying to farm everything, trying to collect all the different mobs in the game, doing extreme stuff, like obtaining tons of different rares in the game. Those are things that I've always wanted to do since the very beginning. Because I'm so focused on those goals, it's very easy for me to overcome any of the little hurdles along the way. Now when it comes to YouTube, I try to keep it as kind of simple and straightforward as possible. I'm definitely nowhere remotely close to being really good at YouTube. People that are good at YouTube have millions of views. If I focus more on views, I probably could reach some of those goals. And one of the things that I said that I would do if I started YouTube is that I would try to only do things that interest me. That way I wouldn't be ended up making content that I didn't enjoy myself. I really enjoy my own videos. Sometimes I even rewatch them. I mostly see if my videos are getting better over time and if there's anything I can improve upon them. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing that motivates me is just the sheer amount of tons of ideas that I have and trying to do and show as many as possible. Next question is, why don't you have more subs? I think it really goes back to not focusing my channel so much about numbers, not really being that good at YouTube, focusing more on goals that I have rather than stuff that others might find interesting. If I took a little more time to make stuff more understandable or easier to consume, I think that would help my channel out. Next question kind of continues with that. Like, do you ever get like disappointed with like low numbers or low views on your videos? I'm actually pretty satisfied with all the views that I get on my videos. And if something does get less views, typically means that people aren't as interested in that. Next is, how do you make such crazy farms? I think it really does go back to having such a large knowledge of the game over the last 11 years, playing exclusively vanilla survival. And every time I had a question about any little thing, I would try to explore it until I learned exactly what was going on there. This often leads me to finding weird mechanics and being able to use my past knowledge to convert something weird into something useful, or at least something cool. And that's how I come up with new things. Next is, how did you get into redstone? Now, this is something I do cover in my 11-year-old single player video. And the short answer is there was no redstone when I played and when it came out. And then when each new redstone device came out, I would just test it and play around with it until I learned it very well. And over time, I just keep adding more and more things to my knowledge. Next is, what was the hardest project that you ever did? So I definitely think the hardest project I did was Beacon in the Box, because I mostly did that all by myself. And if you guys don't know what that is, it is essentially a beacon farm that I made about 6 years ago. But when it comes to what was probably the most fun project that I ever did, I think it's a tie between the Lightning RNG farm and the Endstone farm. That's because both of these projects started out with kind of a simple goal. Like with RNG farm, we're like, oh, RNG, we can manipulate it. But it turns out to be so much bigger, and we end up doing so much crazy things with it over the years. Same thing for the Endstone farm. It started out really small, looking into some glitches, and it turned out to have a lot more cool things that you could do with it, including making an Endstone farm. And they were both very challenging, taking months and months and a lot of dedication by a lot of people to truly understand all their capabilities. Next question is, how do you start redstone as a new person to it? And I would recommend really just playing around with it. Whenever you need to make anything, just try your best and first start out doing all your little small things and just keep working upwards. The Minecraft wiki actually has a lot of great pages on basic redstone components. Redstone itself is actually pretty simple. You can always try to make it more complicated than what it needs to be, and that's where people kind of have fun. But there is no right way or wrong way to do redstone. If it works for your world and it works for what you want, then you're doing redstone correctly. Having a pressure plate in front of the door is pretty much how everybody starts, even myself. Next is, do you play any other games? I did play RuneScape in the past. I also played the game The Long Dark for a short period of time. But for the most part, I just play Minecraft, as I find it to be the most interesting and satisfying, especially when you make like little steps to get to your goal. And as you guys know, I have a lot of goals in Minecraft and a lot of steps along the way. Next is, what do you find interesting about the technical side of Minecraft? I think it really boils down to turning a game which could end up being kind of boring over time into one that almost has infinite possibilities. Like my series where I'm trying to farm up every item in the game Minecraft, I end up doing stuff that I never thought possible in the game. And it really challenged me to think outside the box. And even like collecting rare items and mobs in the game, most people don't even know that these exist. And it's like a breath of fresh air. And that's why I'm really looking forward to Minecraft adding in more advancements, because that allows newer players to kind of have a visual on what to go for. Or someone like myself doesn't really need those visuals, as I already have really concrete goals. Next is, do you do Minecraft full time? Only more recently have I been putting more time into Minecraft than my in-real life job. But for the majority of my YouTube channel, I was working and I was also doing Minecraft. With the Corona deal, I really wasn't affected by that virus itself. Never had to go into like lockdown or anything like that. But it did allow me to put more time doing YouTube, even though during that period, YouTube was giving extremely low ad revenue to those that were uploading videos. And it did allow me to get more caught up on my video ideas. Next is, how much time do you play Minecraft? I actually play Minecraft quite a bit more recently now that I have more time. But when you do YouTube, like 90% of it is not playing Minecraft. It's doing other things like editing, making thumbnails, setting up future collaborations, networking, getting worlds looking good for world downloads. Only about 10% of it is actually me playing Minecraft. And all the playing that I kind of do of Minecraft, I do during my live streams. That way I can not only live stream it, but then I can also make a YouTube video covering what I did. I also put a lot of time into making machines that I can AFK. That way I can spend more time working on future projects. But I do put a lot of time into Minecraft in general. Next is, how many hours of sleep do you get per night? Now, I actually try to get quite a bit of sleep. I like to go from 8 to 10 hours. People say you don't need that much sleep, but I've tried sleeping less time. I never felt as good as when I sleep those hours. Next is, do you ever take breaks from Minecraft? I actually don't take breaks from Minecraft, and that's probably pretty unusual, as I have been playing for over 11 years, almost on a daily basis. But I have a pretty strict schedule on how I play Minecraft. That way I don't get bored of it. If you watch a lot of like Minecraft YouTubers, over time they get bored of it, or they find interest in other things. And what I do to not get bored of Minecraft is I switch up what I'm doing within Minecraft. I have a lot of different end goals, like trying to obtain all the different mobs in the game, all the different types of items, trying to collect all the different rares and come up with new ones. On top of that, I also do some building once in a while. Villager trading is something I really enjoy. So even though I play Minecraft, I do a lot of different variations within Minecraft, and that's what really keeps the game fresh for me. Next is, do you have any other hobbies? Yes, I actually do have other hobbies. I actually enjoy the outdoors quite a bit. I do hiking, hunting, and fishing. It can be very relaxing just to chat with family and friends while going fishing, even if you don't catch anything. That kind of ties into the next question. How do you stay fit? As I do put a lot of hours in front of the computer, I eat really healthy. Like I said, for those who know me, I don't eat any sugar foods besides like fruit. And I'm at the point where if I do eat something that has sugar, instead I find it kind of disappointing when I eat it. But my diet is pretty plain as well. I don't eat anything that's too spicy or too seasoned. I also do some basic workouts, mostly for stretching. And I think I also have like a high metabolism, so I don't really have to worry about gaining weight. But I'm around 160 pounds, about 6 foot tall. Next question is, what do you look like and will you do a face reveal? So I think I look pretty average. And in one of my first videos, someone told me to do a face reveal at 1 million subs, and I agreed to that. So if I do hit 1 million subs on YouTube, I will be doing a face reveal, or if I go to a Minecraft convention. So whichever one comes first. Next is, why do you like collecting rare stuff in Minecraft? So when I used to play RuneScape, I used to collect the rares in that game. I actually came up with some new type of rares in the game, as it was kind of like a glitch hunter. So when I started playing Minecraft, I was very fascinated in those aspects of the game. Plus, the game itself is pretty simple. So calling something like a beacon rare doesn't really cut it for me. So I quickly realized that if I wanted to do something unique in the game that no one else was doing, I would have to look for new type of rares in the game. And this allowed me to discover all sorts of weird things along the way. And it gives me this kind of open-end goal, so I never run out of things that I'm trying to do in the game. I'm always trying to make farms to collect these rare items or blocks or even mobs. And as you guys know, there is some extremely rare variations of stuff in the game. Being able to share my findings with you guys has been so rewarding. And by obtaining these rare things, they're kind of like trophies that you can share with anyone in the future. So there's a lot of positives for me collecting rares in Minecraft versus me just collecting items. If you played like on a server where you could sell the items for like in-game money, then it might make more sense for you to go after just any type of item that you can sell. But for me, having a bunch of items is worthless, as I could turn on any of my farms and produce millions of them if I wanted to. But a rare item, you might only have a couple of them in your entire world. Next question is, why do you play in 1.12? It does kind of go back to the collecting rares and glitched items, as there was a lot more things you could do in that version than in the newer versions. You've seen kind of my farms I made about the newer versions. There are some cool things you can do, but not as many as you're able to do in like 1.12. Next is, would you ever join Hermitcraft? Hermitcraft is more of a content creator server. It would be a lot of fun to participate in those seasons, but if I did join them, I would do something very different than like the extremely technical stuff. I'd probably do something more like what Tango Tech or Impulse does, where they kind of take technical aspects of the game and they apply them to like their mini games or their cool farms. But Hermitcraft is an invite-only server, and if you notice over the past recent years, they haven't really added many numbers to the server. But I have been invited to other content creator SMPs. Maybe if I find more free time, I'll take on a content creator SMP. Next question is, can you do more collabs? Collabs are a lot of fun, but they take a lot of time to schedule out. If you're working with two people, both people have to have free time at the exact same time. They also have to deal with time zones. If the other person streams, trying to get your two streaming schedules to match up. And typically when you do collabs, you want to do them with a person that is a similar channel size as yours. That way both parties can kind of benefit from it. I've done hundreds of collabs over the years, but the majority of them are with smaller channels, which is great promotion for them, but they can be at times less experienced on the content creator side of collaboration, which can cause assumptions to be made incorrectly. I've been in this boat before where I would invite other content creators to do a collab, and I would completely forget to mention that they can record and show this video on their channel as well. But I continue to do a lot of collabs, usually less formal ones, like having a world where all the technical players could come on and test out the snapshots together, where we not only get to work with other people that enjoy doing technical Minecraft, but also all aspects of Minecraft players. There's some pretty wicked builds on there as well. But as my channel has got quite a bit bigger, and I've made hundreds and hundreds of friends with other content creators, I will be doing more collabs with them in the future. Next question, what is your favorite Minecraft YouTuber? And this is Lorgon111. You guys probably don't know who he is, but he used to have a really cool series on vanilla Minecraft where whenever a new version would come out, he would play it blind, and then he would have to try to learn all the new things that were added in the game just by playing the game without having any spoilers. It's really cool to watch his brain kind of like figure different things out and test stuff in game. what is your favorite non-Minecraft YouTuber? I would say Paul Soares Jr. He does do Minecraft, but I mostly watch him for his other survival games that he plays, as he tries out a lot of the newer survival-themed games. Some are similar to Minecraft and some are not. Even though I don't play other games, I do find it fascinating to see other ones that are out there. Which Hermitcraft member is your favorite? And I would have to say Biffa, because Biffa was actually the first Hermitcraft member that I knew of. I was watching Biffa for quite a while, and then he joined the Hermitcraft server. And that's how I kind of met the other hermits, was through him. It's kind of crazy because I've been a fan of Biffa, but now Biffa also watches me. Next is, do you have any pets? I have a dog and a cat. Next says, are you human? That's kind of a funny question. I have a very monotone voice, so sometimes it kind of comes across as being robotic. And sometimes people mistake my monotone voice as me being sad. But I'm typically a very happy person. It just doesn't get picked up in my voice very often. Next says, how does it feel to be famous? I don't see myself as being famous. I feel pretty average. I might be really talented in Minecraft, but like I said, I'm not very good in like spelling or language arts. And I often make mistakes when I type. Like sometimes I'll write the word could when I meant to write the word couldn't. Sometimes people think I make a mistake when I say slimestone. That's actually a general term towards any type of like flying machine that moves. And I notice sometimes you guys have questions about different terminology. They're usually terms that were made in the early days, and we still use them to this day. Next is, do you ever get annoyed by any of your younger viewers? I actually come from a large family, and I'm kind of middle child, so I have quite a few older siblings as well as younger siblings. So I got pretty used to that type of behavior. But probably the hardest is working with not the younger people, but the older people that are immature. Because with the younger ones, you know, that's just a phase they go through life. But some people don't quite grow out of it. But I think I'm pretty fortunate, as majority of my audience is older than the typical Minecraft viewer on YouTube. Next is, why do you often say the same word multiple times throughout a video? You guys might notice this when maybe I'm talking about videos mostly about TNT. I'll say TNT quite often rather than just referring it to it or that or them. I think it has to do with, for me, when I hear somebody who's talking in a sentence and then they start talking about like it or them or that, I get confused at what they were referring to in the first spot, especially when they start adding in some other objects. And even though it does get kind of repetitive and it sounds really weird, from like a learning perspective, I feel like that's a better take on it. Although I have been trying to dial back on that. Next is, do you have any glitches that you don't tell anybody? Now, I used to kind of hold on to different glitches in my early days and just kind of show sneak peeks of them, but usually just cause conflict when it comes to crediting. And nowadays, I work very closely with the Mojang devs to make sure the game is fun for everybody. So withholding information is not something I really do nowadays. Next is, what is your favorite mob, block, and item? So the block is the easy one. It is the stair block. It has so many uses, not only for easy climbing, then they made it so you can like rotate it. Now it can be like waterlogged. Other stairs can connect to make different shapes. For one block, it does a lot. Favorite mob is probably a zombie, just because there's so many variations and very, very rare variations of those. For items, I think the glitched out cactus, that's that big, huge purple and black thing you see me carrying sometimes. Essentially a block that the game doesn't have a proper texture for, so it comes out looking really massive and big. Next is, what do you think is the most useless or weirdest farm? That's a tough one because that depends on what your goals are. I guess you could say like the farm that we made to collect all the different types of tropical fish, you could see that as being a very weird and useless farm. But there are some variations of the fish that are quite rare. And if you are trying to go for all types, I feel like even something that comes across as being useless could be useful to somebody. Next question is, how long does it take you to make one farm? The answer to that question is it differs quite a bit. Depends on if I'm just trying to get a farm to work, or if I'm trying to make a farm special in some aspect, like being fast or being simple or compact. Something like my beacon farm, I did over a course of 6 months on and off. Or some of the farms I designed for the snapshots don't take that long, as I'm mostly just trying to make a farm that works. And then later on, I'll probably come back to that farm idea and improve it. Next is, what is the specs of your computer? My computer specs are actually linked in all my descriptions. You can find them at the very bottom. There's also other links like what program I use to record, what program I use to edit. And in general, I just have a lot of useful links down in the description, not only related to the video, but also my social links. Next is, what do you think about other YouTubers or streamers using your stuff? I find that really exciting and really hypes me up when you guys send me messages saying like, oh, so-and-so used this or so-and-so used that. I think every major YouTuber and streamer has used something of mine over the years. Even like Dan TDM gave me a shout out on one of his videos. And some people even use my stuff without knowing it. Like a few times Ethos Lab used some of the tricks I showed, like use the thorn armor in the hand trick. And he would make a remark saying like, oh, I've seen this on Reddit, which does kind of have a weird effect because then people watch his video and then when they eventually do see my video, they assume that I copied him. But if you take a look at like the dates of when I showed it on YouTube or when I designed it on stream, it usually clears up those confusions. And that's a problem I see on YouTube, where people will make assumptions rather than just looking at the streams in which they were created or the videos which showcase them, or even checking the descriptions of the videos. Because a lot of times I give shout outs to other people that help me with stuff which is in the description. Sometimes people get upset because I will give a shout out to somebody, but then the person who uses my video doesn't mention the person that I worked with in creating that machine. So it's best to never assume the worst and actually take time to watch the video as well as check the description and the archived live streams that go with them. All in all, I really like when other people use my builds. That's the whole reason why I did YouTube, is to show other people how they can do these cool things on their own. My videos aren't just tutorials saying, hey, do it my way, otherwise it's not going to turn out good. My videos are about showing ways that you guys can use it and letting you guys in charge of however you want to apply that into your Minecraft world. So if you do see someone using anything that I designed, make sure you leave me a message so I can leave them a nice comment on their video. Next is there any projects that are just too hard or too difficult or to do and therefore you haven't did them yet? Now there isn't too many, because usually you can take a big project and break into smaller pieces, then you can take small steps to complete those. But I definitely would say like trying to collect all the different mobs in the game as well as trying to farm up all the items. Those are some really big projects that I'm still slowly working on. But typically if I run into a really hard project, I just invite more and more people to join me work on it until we have so many people that it gets completed. Next question is, how do you have so many alt accounts? Actually, the majority of those alt accounts aren't mine, but rather other Minecraft friends from the past. They don't play with their accounts, so they let me use them, or other technical Minecraft players who had extra accounts that they acquired and they let me use them. Even though I play with like over 10 different accounts, only the Rays in the Ilt one are mine. But before you guys try to give me any more accounts, I actually have enough. So if you do want to try to support me, you can always check out my Patreon. Next question is, why do you sometimes answer comments by saying like check description, check world download, ask your administrator, ask your admin? This is because when I design my farms or machines, I know them really well. So if you're having problems, it's usually only a couple things going on there. You're playing on a multiplayer server, most likely not a vanilla server, and therefore you're having problems because there is some hidden plugin or mod that server has that causes it not to work. And that's why I say like ask your admin. Or I'll say like check the world download, it works there. Because I know the world downloads work. This is why I provide those rather than just giving you a block tutorial. You could follow my block tutorial, but if your server has mods on, it doesn't make any difference. But if I give you a world download and you actually go check out the world download and you see it does actually work, then you'll know that something is wrong about your world or server because it does actually work. Rather than having tons of people go into comments saying, oh, this doesn't work, just because they don't know that they're on a modded server. I could spend a long time trying to explain to people you're on a modded server, but then they would just argue that they're not on a modded server because most people don't think they're playing modded. So by giving them the world download, they can kind of figure that out on their own. Also, when I say check description, there's a lot of good information in description. Like I said, there's references to other builds that are similar, world downloads, stuff that I mentioned in the videos, playlists that are related, live streams, which we design these things live on, so you can see exactly how we built them up. So much good stuff in the description. So I'm not trying to be like mean by just writing these very direct and to the point answers to comments, but I do get hundreds of comments and I could just ignore them all saying, well, you know, those people, they didn't bother to check the description, that's their fault. But in the meantime, I try to answer as many comments as possible. And yes, I do read all the comments and try to reply to as many as possible. Next is, can you tell us some funny thing about yourself? So I actually have a special thing on my live stream where you guys could use your points to purchase funny stories or scary stories from my childhood. You guys seem to really enjoy those, and it allows me to get better at storytelling. That's something I'm really bad at, and I would recommend if you guys are ever bad at something, just practice. And also find a way to like kind of integrate it into your day-to-day schedule. So I'd like to be better at storytelling. People like Skizzleman are extremely good at it, and I would like to get better. But I will tell you one funny fact about myself is I can rotate my tongue 360 degrees. So I can flip it upside down on one side, and then I can rotate it all the way around and flip it upside down on its other side. And it wasn't like something that I was born with. I was just kind of bored in school, so I taught myself to do that. Also taught myself to write with my left hand, and now I'm pretty much ambidextrous. So the moral of the story is, if you want to become good at something, just practice. People in the world that are really good at things, just put a lot of time into it. Next question is, what is your favorite color? So that is a good one. It's actually the color orange. Not only is that the main theme of my channel based around Gordy, who has a pumpkin head, he's orange, but I do actually like orange in real life. It's kind of a vibrant color. It has quite a few different hues that make it kind of good for a lot of different situations. Next question is, what do you think about modded Minecraft? So I've never really been big into modded Minecraft, but for a lot of people, that's what makes the game interesting. I've been playing the game for 11 years, and I don't think very many people would go that long without playing modded or without adding like data packs. The reason I don't play modded is because the stuff I do is so crazy and technical that back in the day, people used to say that I was hacking or I was using cheats. But by playing the vanilla game, there's really nothing extra added onto the game that people can blame you for taking advantage of. So just by playing the game the way it was designed, I feel like I can put my entire mind and challenge myself to do the craziest thing possible in these limitations without having somebody just blame it on some mod that's affecting the game. But I still get hundreds of people that ask questions like, oh, what mods do you run? That to me is really cool to see that somebody sees you doing these really crazy things and they just assume that there's some mod that's making it happen. That's why I don't even like to do like texture pack changes, because if I change the texture of stuff, then people just kind of assume that's modded or that something is changed. So I try to keep everything just really basic and plain and just do really cool things. But that's definitely not for everybody. Most people do end up adding mods to their game to keep it interesting. The last question is, where do you see Minecraft in the future? Now, as being one of the few people that have been playing Minecraft since the very beginning, I have seen it go through a lot of transitions. Not all of them I really enjoyed. Like I really didn't care about when enchantments came out or when potions came out. But over time I learned to make the best of whatever came new to Minecraft. You could sit around and complain about Minecraft changes, or you could be taking advantage of the new changes and helping the developers give feedback on those changes as well as remove any annoying bugs. I guess the general theme that people kind of see in Minecraft is that different things that are in modded Minecraft eventually end up in the vanilla game. This is mostly due to there being just thousands and thousands of mods with all sorts of things. So it's hard for something original to make it into Minecraft. But the developers actually do a really good job in putting a Minecraft-y twist onto it before implementing it into vanilla. I will be doing a second video going into more of the challenges of being one of the top Minecrafters in the world. It will be a video that I only send out to those that have their bell notifications turned on. Make sure you guys are subscribed as well as have the bell turned on so you don't miss out on that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun to talk about the more personal side of myself. And I might do more of these in the future. Just want to say big thanks to everybody who has subscribed as we reach this enormous milestone of 200,000 subscribers. I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.